Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Firefighters in a critical stage of their nearly week-long battle against deadly Los Angeles wildfires. Crews say they've reported some progress, but officials say the fire threat is still high as powerful winds return early this week. Michael Yoshida has the latest from Pacific Palisades.
Firefighters in California racing against the clock to contain blazes ahead of the return of dangerous winds.
It's going to cause more problems, which is why containment's going so slow.
For nearly a week, conditions have made it difficult for crews to get a handle on the largest fires, the Eaton and Palisades. The deadly blazes around Los Angeles have caused devastating damage. More than 37,000 acres have burned, with fire officials saying at least 10,000 structures have been destroyed.
Lots of tears, anger. We're going through the stages of grief. There's no doubt about it.
Neighborhoods from Pacific Palisades to Altadena, unrecognizable.
The middle school that I actually attended was burnt. All the homes on that particular street, my mom's street, you can actually see through the street behind and the street in front.
Al Hugo, an Altadena-based firefighter, sharing these before and after photos of his family's home.
It was kind of surreal. I mean, it's something that really hits home. You know, you do this for a living, but you know, you invest your life to try to protect life and property. But when it's your own, it's just a different feeling.
In Pacific Palisades, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
More than 100,000 people are still under evacuation orders in LA County. Many of them no longer have homes, and now they're faced with choices about how and whether they should rebuild. Amy Kiley has more on new efforts to reduce the barriers they'll face to starting over.
We have an opportunity to rebuild, and so regardless of what happened, we can move forward.
Officials are taking preemptive steps to help people rebuild when the Los Angeles County wildfires end. The ongoing blazes are the costliest and the most destructive in state history. Thousands of structures are in ruins, including businesses and homes. An executive order California Governor Gavin Newsom signed yesterday suspends some building requirements for wildfire victims. Newsom says he's also allocating state resources to expedite insurance inspections.
We've got to restore the hope and then restore their lives and businesses and opportunities.
J.P. Morgan Chase estimates insured losses from the crisis top $20 billion. Officials say uninsured losses are a greater challenge. Government statistics show L.A. County lost about 500,000 homeowner policies between 2020 and 2022. Some lawmakers want Congress to help the uninsured. The head of FEMA says they might need philanthropy.
It's going to take all of us if they don't have the insurance to be able to help them rebuild.
She says mitigating future risks is important to keep homes insured and safe.
We also need to make sure that we're taking this as an opportunity to rebuild these communities in a way that's going to make them more resilient against these types of disasters.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Closer to home, fire destroyed a shed at a Capital City golf course over the weekend. It happened Sunday at Newmark Golf Course in Lincoln. Fire officials say the maintenance building caught fire just before sunrise. The structure was completely destroyed. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Several people are facing charges, and 2 people, including a 10-year-old, were injured after a disturbance over the weekend. It happened Sunday afternoon at a home in Stanton. The Stanton County Sheriff's Office says they were sent to a disturbance involving multiple people. Authorities say it all stemmed from a brawl at the residence. 3 adults, 1 teen, all taken into custody, cited and released for their involvement. Deputies say 1 person at the scene was found bleeding. A woman was suffering from a seizure and had stopped breathing. She was revived at the scene and hospitalized. A 10-year-old girl was also hospitalized after she was elbowed in the chest during the fight. Well, some farm advocates in rural Nebraska, including here in Nebraska, are calling on the Trump administration to continue investing in small communities. They're proposing new federal investments in agriculture should wind up in the hands of farmers in rural communities. The Nebraska Farmers Union says they're cautiously optimistic about how rural policy will look in the new administration, but they say it will start with fair competition in the agriculture markets.
The markets are not competitive now. So if they're not competitive, they're not functional, they don't perform as they should. And we want more competition. So in order to get there, we need some appropriate regulation in order to create competition. And the absence of competition, there's collusion.
Hanson and other rural farm advocates are calling for increased competition in the supply chain and the food processing sectors of the ag economy, and for more federal investments at the local level, where he says farmers are facing unprecedented financial stress. Kohl's is closing 27 stores across more than a dozen states as it looks to improve profitability. The closures expected to be finished by April. They're a small fraction of the retailer's more than 1,100 stores and were listed as underperforming. The move, one of the last decisions by outgoing CEO Tom Kingsbury, who's stepping down this week. He'll be replaced next week by Ashley Buchanan, chief executive of arts and crafts chain Michaels. There are 12 different Kohl's locations in Nebraska. Thankfully, none of them are on the chopping block. There's a new person in charge of feeding kids in one of Nebraska's largest school districts. Kearney Public Schools announcing Monday that Sheila Sanford has been named the new director of the Bearcat Diner. Sanford comes to Kearney from Minden, where she served as service director for 13 years there. She's taking over for Kate Murphy, who is retiring at the end of the school year. Sanford will officially take over this summer. And finally, one of the most popular restaurants in the Sandhills is closing its doors. But the family behind the Peppermill isn't saying goodbye to the restaurant industry. Casey Wannenberg explains what's next on the menu.
It's often said that the way to a man's heart
is a New York strip
is through his stomach.
A couple of panhandle burgers.
But for Robert Joseph of Valentine, good food doesn't just have a place in his heart and soul.
A lot of people think that I can cook well, and I can if I'm here.
It's in his blood.
My grandfather bought a condemned hotel in downtown Valentine in 1986, and then my grandpa sold to Dad in 1996, and then I've been somewhat involved really since '99, anywhere from a summer job in college to day-to-day operations to ownership. Lacey and I have now.
The ashtrays are from Robert's grandparents' house.
For 3 generations, the Joseph family has owned Peppermill, one of the most popular restaurants in the Nebraska Sandhills.
No family that I've ever met in cattle country has raised it all the way from the hoof to the plate like this.
And Robert and Lacey's children are the 6th generation to own beef cattle here in Cherry County.
It's legendary. Yeah, absolutely. It's like what makes Valentine such a special community.
The family has been cooking up big business in this small town for decades.
This is the famous Cajun prime rib fingers. We took it off the menu one time and there was nearly rioting in the streets.
The restaurant dishes out hundreds of meals every day. But even a well-seasoned operation faces difficulties in this tight labor market.
After COVID, we've had very robust and hardworking staff. It's not that the people have changed, there's just less of them, and that's what you've seen up and down Highway 20.
This month, the couple decided their life menu included a big change. After almost 4 decades, Peppermill will close its doors next month.
So many memories, so many celebrations here, from wedding receptions to birthday parties to, even funerals.
While the Peppermill is closing, it's not the end of the restaurant industry for the Joseph family. They've purchased this historic building in downtown Valentine and are currently in the process of remodeling it.
Right back here is the old fraternal hall.
We caught up with the Josephs as they started working on the William R. Fraternal Hall project.
This was a bakery at some point.
A mixed-use space featuring retail, lodging, and a restaurant.
It's going to be different name, different concept, and we're really excited about it.
1 cheeseburger.
Meanwhile, Peppermill's current location has been sold to Mi Toro Supremo, a restaurant group with several locations, including a popular Mexican restaurant in Winter, South Dakota.
They're everywhere from Chamberlain to Belle Fourche, South Dakota, several locations, and always run well by family. and a concept that isn't fully developed here in Valentine right now.
New ideas to serve up more unique experiences around the table.
Absolutely, that's my vision for Valentine, is that we go from one or two places that look very similar in the way that they conduct business and the meals that they serve, to right where it used to be, 6 to 8 places, creating their own mark.
Because the way to a person's heart isn't just through the food on the plate. It's through the connections, conversations, and memories made around the table for generations.
It's time to create something that'll last another generation.
In Valentine, Casey Wannenberg, News Channel, Nebraska.
That made me hungry. In the meantime, you can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com. Click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. This is News Channel Nebraska.